we need to get now. We need to actually figure out a frame for the move to Almarin.
Yeah.
So in the move to Almarin, we have two things going on. Thing one is the discussion, the decision to move to Valinor. Did I say Almarin before? I did, didn't I? Yeah, I meant Valinor.
Yes.
So the decision to move to Valinor, and the reactions to that, Melkor's reaction to that, everybody's reaction to what Melkor is doing. Some of the people go with Melkor, some of the people go with Vanway. And thing two is the arrival in Valinor to discover that we've got some new friends who are already there. And it's a good thing, too, because we've got some folks that could really need their help. I don't feel that I feel like the Valinor know who they are.
From the music and from their time in the Timeless Halls.
Right.
Like, they remember them as Ionar.
Yes. So they recognize them, but they didn't know they were there. And so, that gives us some time to kind of introduce them and whatnot. The thing I want to avoid is having this big climactic discussion in the middle of the episode, and then it just kind of dies. We go to this peaceful place, and we're introduced to new characters, which is a thing you don't usually do in Act 3 of a story.
Right. It's a little odd.
Unless we pull Orome's hunting scene back from episode 8 into episode 7.
I feel like episode 8 was getting pretty busy.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I was thinking that.
So, and that's one of the subplots that doesn't need to wait for them.
Yeah.
The main reason to wait, though, is to give Melkor enough time to ruin everything in Middle-earth.
Yes.
Like, that's the Beast of Horn and Ivory thing, where if Melkor just set up Utumno, which is the other thing that's happening in this episode, is Melkor sets up Utumno.
What if... Well, he's almost kind of already there. It's just not the Palace of Awesomeness that it will become. Or Tumno.
Really now?
What is wrong with me?
No. You said Utumno.
Oh, apparently I did say it. Okay. Ha!
Yeah, no. Utumno is fine. What I'm saying is that we have not seen it on screen to this point.
Yeah.
And therefore, there is no indication that it is pre-existing until they have their little debate. And Melkor's like, fine, I'll go make my own place.
Yeah.
It'll be better than stupid Almarin anyway. Yeah. Like, that's when Utumno happens. And possibly that's when it's actually built. Like, there's no indication that he was there. Because he came right into Almarin with his little posse and joined everybody.
Right. Okay.
As soon as he got Middle-earth. Sort of.
Yeah.
Sort of. So there was the opportunity, if he wanted to go build his own place as a backup, he could have done it, and they just didn't know about it yet.
Right.
We don't have to show him building it if we don't want to.
Okay.
But Utumno should be shown for the first time in episode 7.
Yeah. Okay. So we're back in slightly less awesome technological setup than we were before, but that's cool. So, and now you can see more of my house.
Yeah. It's the SilmFilm script discussion, season 1, episode 7.
Yeah. Okay.
Finally got to a second episode in one session. This is great.
Yes, it is. Okay. So, all right. So do we want to use... Here's the thing. We can show some time passing. Like, if we show Orome in Valinor, when they go to Valinor, and then we show him... I don't know, and then show him hunting in Middle-earth, it does show some passage of time. But you know what? I think you're right. I think it's gonna be problematic.
Just something to be careful of.
Yeah.
Shooting into the episode too early.
So we need something to kind of carry on the conflict.
We can maybe end the episode with it as like an ominous note of things are going bad in Middle Earth now. Like if we've seen Utumno being built or already built, and then we see Arame go hunting.
But even if we do that though, the halfway point of the decision to go to Valinor is still going to be anticlimactic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't want it to be an episode that's just a bunch of people talking over a ruined Almarin.
No, I mean, we want it to be a halfway transition. Yeah.
Right. So how do we keep the conflict going? Because the conflict's got to be who's going with Melkor, who's not. Yes. You know, who's going to Valinor, who's staying. Mm-hmm. So the question's going to be how we keep that going without having the discussion at Almarin take an inordinate amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Will there be anybody who goes over to Valinor and decides, nah, I don't think so. I'm going to go try things with Melkor? Because that would be a kind of like, oh, wait, this isn't a done deal.
Mm.
But I don't know that we'd want to show that.
It's a lot going back and forth. What if we have to find a way to make the decision a dynamic one, to make the discussion something that's not just a bunch of people sitting around talking.
Mm-hmm.
What if somebody pulls an Orome and comes to Middle Earth from Valinor, mm-hmm. one of the Fiantori, mm-hmm. and invites them back to Valinor?
Wait, who's inviting who where now?
Okay. So, yeah, this is we're kind of making stuff up here. So, what if we have someone say Namo show up while they're kind of thinking this out, while they're kind of in the initial stages of what are we going to do here?
Oh.
What if he shows up?
I see.
We introduce him,
mm-hmm.
and he lets Manwë know what's been going on, what he's been up to, what the other Fiantori have been up to. Mm-hmm. You know, my brother and I, we've been here for some time. We didn't want him to interfere with what you were doing because our job is completely separate. It's completely different. And he convinces Manwë to come back with him. So we can front load these introductions
mm-hmm.
to the beginning of the episode, and then climax with the
decision to go to Valinor.
The final decision that that Melkor is going to go his way, they're going to go theirs.
I do appreciate the effort to put the climactic decision in the right place. I think that change would accomplish that. I don't particularly like that way of introducing Mandos.
Yeah, he was the only one I could think of that would actually move around.
Oh, no, yeah. I mean, his wife doesn't speak, and Este sleeps all the time, so it's either him or Lorien, because, yeah. And he would be the exact type of person who could be like, well, it was time for this conversation, so I'm here now. Like, he would know that this is the right time for him to show up. I'm not worried about him appearing out of nowhere. Everyone saw the lamps come down. It was, he can come from elsewhere. So that part's okay. It's more of the random person we've never seen before says, here, come follow me. And Manwë seems to go along with it, which takes away Manwë's agency and leadership ability a lot more than, I mean, I know it'll still be his decision whether or not to go, but
Yeah.
Manway's saying like, yeah, let's just do that is not the note we're trying to hit.
No, you're right. What if Mandos doesn't even make the suggestion?
Because Mandos doesn't really suggest things. The other issue is,
what if Mandos never even makes the suggestions? I mean, it's the suggestion for them to come.
Well, then why is he showing up? I'm not trying to be difficult.
I know.
I'm being difficult.
No, that's fine.
Here's my other hesitancy here.
Okay.
Along with this, and that is that part of the way it was set up, in chronological order, is if they make the decision to go to Valinor, then go to Valinor, then meet Mandos, who's the doomsayer, fate guy, being like, yes, we've been here working, setting everything up for when you guys got here. It kind of confirms that Manway's decision was the right one in the plan of the music and what Iluvatar wanted them to do. So it really confirms that, when up to that point we didn't know if Manway was doing the right thing. Of course, the hosts have said multiple times that Manway is not doing the right thing. The decision to remove to Valinor is actually a potentially bad decision for a good reason.
I actually don't agree with them. I agree with Professor Olson's idea that bringing the elves to Valinor was not the best idea. I agree with that. But the idea of not getting personally involved in everything that happens in Middle Earth, I feel was the right move, because the Iluvatar basically does the same thing.
Right. So I mean, they're copying him, which seems like a good idea. Anyway, that's where I see Mandos' role coming in, is to confirm Manway's decision and say, yes, you guys all made the right choice. And that has to happen after they make the choice, not while it's still up for debate.
Yeah.
And you can't tell them what to do.
I hear what you're saying. Do you have a counter proposal?
That's what I need to do to fix this. And
okay.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know.
I have a tweak, if you will.
Okay, I'll hear that first. And
okay.
Then...
So, what if, rather than Mando showing up to
the ruins of Almarin.
Right. What if Manway makes the decision that they need to move, that they need to remove themselves from Arda and figure out a place of safety? There's a discussion that takes place between Manway and Varda maybe there's a discussion that takes place between the two of them, confirming that he has made a decision that they need to get out of there. And so the decision isn't whether or not they're going to leave, but where they're going to go specifically. And maybe he's kind of like not scouting out, but he's like he's searching Arda for someplace they can go.
Mm-hmm.
And he arrives, maybe not by himself, but him and maybe a couple of other people arrive in Valinor, and they discover the Fiantoria there. Okay. Then after the introductions and all that are over, he goes back to post Almarin and is like, okay, I found the spot. It's awesome. We're gonna go. And that's when people raise their issues. Ulmo raises his issues. Melkor raises his issues, even though they're completely different issues.
Mm-hmm. Like, everyone obviously recognizes that they can't stay in Almarin because Almarin's destroyed.
Right.
So I agree with you that the decision of, hey, we need to go somewhere else is clearly not even up for discussion. Like that decision has been made. So yeah. I recognize that. The question is just where to go, and that until Manway picks a space, no one's going to disagree because everyone's like, yeah, we'll go somewhere else. And they've got their own ideas of where to go. So
right.
If we're going to show Manway going to Valinor and meeting people, we'd also probably want to show Melkor reuniting with the proto Balrogs, who are now
Yes.
actual Balrogs,
Yes.
and starting Autumno.
Yes, I agree, and
So,
we can see those parallels starting to set up.
mm-hmm. And then have a meeting more mid-episode to discuss things. And
Right.
we then lose, well, we don't entirely lose the man, we made the right decision because people are there. Like, that's still going to happen. What we lose is that it's not a confirmation afterwards.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons to go there, which I'm actually okay with, because otherwise we have no reason to pick a particular place.
Right.
Like, Manway said, yeah, let's all go to Valinor. It's like, well,
They could have gone anywhere.
Or we could go to Hawaii. Like, I hear that's nice. Like there's not really why Valinor. So this idea gives a why Valinor reason, which I like. I like that there's a reason for Manway to make his choice, and that he feels it's the right thing to do in the broad picture of things, which allows him to make the argument more forcefully when people disagree. So that's all positive to me. Yeah.
Okay. Now the reason that I've wanted to kind of hash all this out is because we have to go back to the frame. We have to figure out why we're telling this story again. So the kind of nailing that down was kind of important to figuring out what the goal is. What are we trying to say?
Well, I think the overall message of the chapter is sometimes you have to start over. Like, bad things happen. You gotta get up and try again. And we've established that Gilrain at the end is gonna jump all over Elrond for making the choice to withdraw and set up a nice safe little space and live there, which is what the Valar just did.
Right.
So we know that's where it's all headed. The question is, what
perpetuates it?
Yeah, or even how much frame do we... This, I think, might be an episode where we have frame in the beginning, frame in the end, done. Like, there's not necessarily a lot of frame.
Yeah.
But we need to save some minutes for it, because I think we want Gilrain and Elrond to have a pretty involved, compared to what they've done in the past, level of discussion. Like, it's not just going to be a back.
This actually be the moment where she tries to, where she thinks that Estelle needs to know who he really is.
I was wondering if we were going to bring that up, because if we brought up his name last episode, then we reminded everybody that that's not his real name, and this would be the episode to follow up with that. Like, I want to tell him his heritage and who he really is, and all that.
Yeah.
And
like, she can bring up the point that his people, my people, are out there dying right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right now. There could even be. We could even start the episode with word coming in of like a village raid or something, like a village got raided or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And if we want to see it from Estelle's point of view,